Hello my dear brothers and sisters, the video I bring for you right now is the video of the list of Nigerian states and their natural resources. But before I proceed, please try to follow my page and like this video and share it to your friend and try to add it to your favorites in case you want to rewatch it. So come, let me show you. So my dear brothers and sisters, here is the list of the Nigerian states and their natural resources. So the first state, which is known as Abia, they get gold, lead and zinc, limestone, oil and gas, salt. The next state, which is known as Abuja, they get cassiterite, clay, dolomite, gold, lead and zinc, marble and tantalite. The next state, which is known as Adamawa, they get bentonite, gypsum, kaolin and magnesite. The next state, which is known as Akwa Ibom, they get clay, lead and zinc, lignite, limestone, oil and gas, salt and uranium. The next state, which is known as Anambra State, they get clay, glass sand, gypsum, iron ore, lead and zinc, lignite, limestone, phosphate and salt. The next state, which is known as Bauchi State, they get gold, cassiterite, columite, gypsum, wolfram, coal, limestone, lignite, iron ore and clay. The next state, which is known as Bayelsa State, they get clay, gypsum, lead and zinc, lignite, limestone, manganese, oil and gas and uranium. The next state, which is known as Benue State, they get barite, clay, coal, gemstone, gypsum, iron ore, lead and zinc, limestone, marble and salt. The next state, which is known as Borno State, they get bentonite, clay, diatomite, gypsum, hydrocarbon, kaolin and limestone. The next state, which is known as Delta State, they get clay, glass sand, gypsum, iron ore, kaolin, lignite, marble and oil and gas. The next state, which is known as Ebonyi State, they get gold, lead and zinc and salt. The next state, which is known as Edo State, they get bitumen, clay dolomite, phosphate, glass sand, gold, gypsum, iron ore, lignite, limestone, marble, oil and gas. The next state, which is known as Ekiti State, they get feldspar, granite, kaolin, sienite, tantalum. So the next state, which is known as Enugu State, they get coal, lead and zinc and limestone. The next state, which is known as Gombe State, they get gemstone and gypsum. The next state, which is known as Imo State, they get gypsum, lead and zinc, lignite, limestone, mascasite, oil and gas, phosphate and salt. The next state, which is known as Cross River State, they get barite, lead and zinc, lignite, limestone, manganese, oil and gas, salt and uranium. The next state, which is known as Jigawa State, they get butyl. The next state, which is known as Kaduna State, they get amethyst, aquamarine, asbestos, clay, fluorspar, gemstone, gold, graphite, kaolin, ironite, mica, rock crystal, ruby, sapphire, selenite, supertanite, tantalum, topaz, tom. So the next state, which is known as Kano State, they get gasiterite, copper, they get gemstone, glass sand, lead and zinc, pyroxene and tantalite. The next state, which is known as Katsina State, they get kaolin, marble and salt. The next state, which is known as Kebbi State, they get gold. The next state, which is known as Kogi State, they get coal, dolomite, feldspar, gypsum, iron ore, kaolin, marble, talc and tantalite. The next state, which is known as Kwara State, they get cassiterite, columbite, feldspar, gold, iron ore, marble, mica and tantalite. The next state, which is known as Lagos, they get bitumen, clay, and glass. So my dear brothers and sisters, the next one, which is known as Nasarawa State, they get amethyst, barytes, barite, cassiterite, chalcopyrite, clay, columbite, coking coal, dolomite and marble, feldspar, galena, iron ore, limestone, mica. They even get shot, sapphire, tack, tantalite, tourmaline, quartz and chirion. The next state, which is known as Niger State, they get gold, lead and zinc and tack. The next state, which is known as Ogun State, they get bitumen, clay, feldspar, gemstone, kaolin, limestone and phosphate. The next state, which is known as Ondo State, they get bitumen, clay, coal, dimension stone, feldspar, gemstone, glass sand, granite, gemstone, kaolin, limestone and oil and gas. The next state, which is known as Osun State, they get columbite, gold, granite, talc, tantalite and tourmaline. The next state, which is known as Oyo State, they get aquamarine, cassiterite, clay, dolomite, gemstone, gold, kaolin, marble, silimonite, talc, tantalite. The next state, which is known as Plateau State, they get barite, bauxite, bentonite, bismuth, cassiterite. They get clay, coal, emerald, fluoride, gemstone, granite, iron ore, kaolin, lead and zinc, marble, molybdenite, prochlorite, salt, tantalite and columbite, tin and wolfram. The next state, which is known as River State, they get clay, glass sand, lignite, marble, oil and gas. The next state, which is known as Sokoto State, they get clay, flakes, gold, granite, gypsum, kaolin, laterite, limestone, phosphate, potash, silica, sand and salt. The next state, which is known as Taraba State, they get lead and zinc. The next state, which is known as Yobe State, they get soda ash and tintomite. The next state, which is known as Zamfara State, they get coal, cotton and gold.